Welcome to the third segment of 3 in the Tahoe Project interview with John Laird, California's Secretary for Natural Resources.
I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about what Nevada is requesting in terms of changes to the voting structure at the TRPA board, to get your sense of what direction that recommendation would take us and where California stands with regard to that.
I think it's the thing we want to deal with last, because in essence we want to prove that there's a trusting relationship and that we can get things done, and through that isolate what the remaining issues are. And if you always start with what your differences are, that blows things up. And there's concern on the California side that a majority of Nevadans could outvote a majority of Californians. And yet there's a concern on the Nevada side that a majority of the California votes could kill any project on the Nevada side. And so how do you, over time, both build some trust and then look at whether or not there's a way to deal with that? And I think yesterday, as many of us met that were stakeholders in advance of the summit, we were looking for ways to start to think about that.
My last question has to do with water quality objectives, and I'm just going to read a quote from Joanne Marquetta, director of the TRPA. She said yesterday, "Our last threshold evaluation showed progress in every indicator category except for one, water quality. So the regional plan update will attack water quality strategies." For context for our listeners, the basin's water quality strategies are being deployed in the context of the TMDL, which is a program of the water boards.
Which is the total daily maximum load.
Right, the total maximum daily load program. And the water boards are a division of Cal EPA. And in the meantime,
we have the Environmental Protection Agency, which is not in the resources area.
Right, exactly.
Which is, I think, where you were going.
See where I'm going.
Yes.
That we have all of these different agencies with different authorities in the basin. How do we align behind a particular goal?
I had a number of conversations with the Environmental Protection Agency before this summit, and interestingly, we've only had a new secretary for 2 weeks, and yet he's already up to speed on this issue. He's participated in a meeting.
We're off to a great start.
Yeah, I've really tried to make sure he's aware how important this is and that we're on the same page. And one of the toughest things is, and once again to back up slightly, there's really 2 open issues in the regional plan, which we all are committing to try to get out in a timely basis. And one is water quality, the other is a bill on sustainable communities, SB 375 on the California side, which was authored by the person that is now the president of the state senate. So there's a real interest in that, and yet it's totally consistent with the directions of the Tahoe Regional Plan. It's just how do you plan additional growth or retooling of growth in a very smart way around transit and housing infill and things that are much smarter ways of doing growth and development. But on the water quality, it is the key issue that's remaining, and yet all the land-based activities are really what determines it, and that is really where I don't think there's this fundamental disagreement. People understand about sedimentation, they understand about what you have to do to entrap sediment. They have street sweepers that are not like the rest of us have in the known world that stir up dust. These actually vacuum up the dust. Right. Everything is different, yes, right. And it's because that awareness is here and people have been working on it. It's a complex issue because if you factor in climate change, there are many things that deal with climate change and water quality that are larger issues that everybody's facing everywhere in the world, not just in the Tahoe Basin. And if you look at the fact that, you know, the lake was down 5 feet or so, and then we have this incredibly wet winter, and when it's down 5 feet, suddenly you have things growing in places that are normally covered. Then you have them covered in the lake. Then that adds the sedimentation as the plant products break down in the lake. So you have all these things that are that are different issues that need to be worked on, and yet I think that's a place there's a real commitment on both sides to do it, and there was an agreement that's being announced here at the summit between the states on the maximum daily load. So I think that there's some places to go there, but it's just really tough because it's all the on-land activities, with the exception of some of the things I just mentioned, that really make the difference.
Great. Well, thank you very much for meeting with all of the parties that you've mentioned, for really taking this horse by the reins and conducting that conversation with Leo Drozdoff in Nevada, and for, it sounds like, facilitating this communication about Tahoe across the line.
Well, my personal style, even though I'm now part of an administration, and I joke about that a lot because I used to be very flip when I was only responsible to myself and my constituents. Now if I'm flip on behalf of the entire state administration. So I'm working hard to behave. But my general style is always to get things done and to be operational and to focus people on that. And that's what I want to bring to this, because this is complex and this does involve people of different views and cultures, but I'm really committed to work together and try to work this out, and I'm getting that sense from everybody here, so I'm feeling really good about the direction, although a lot of the hard work is ahead. And yesterday it was very funny as we met the U.S. senators and the governors. They all turned to Leo and I and said, well, you're it, you're the team, good luck. So
right.
That's a big responsibility, and I'm going to work hard to live up to it, and work hard to continue to work with Leo to solve problems and get there, because we have people on both sides of the state line that we need to satisfy, and we need to convince are seeing progress and building trust. So I'm looking forward to that. Appreciate the chance to talk about it today.